Well, first off, I wanted to thank Amanda, Stacy, and the whole Callus group and Downtown Project. It's been amazing coming here and just feeling right at home right away. I just really look at it kind of as a land of possibility. So just really grateful to be here. So Enlightened.org, I'm going to talk a little bit about the company, but more about how I got there. But Enlightened.org, the mission is to integrate philanthropy into everyday life. And what we've seen is that everybody wants to give more. It's just not such an easy thing to do. And we're building tools for people to be able to give more and build a community around philanthropy where everybody benefits, the givers and the people that are receiving, and creating sustainability within that. So what I am going to talk about is integrity and what it means to you. So I just want to hear from a couple people, what does integrity mean to you? When I say integrity, what does it mean to you?
Having one face.
Very good.
So the way that society currently defines integrity is the quality of being honest, having strong moral principles or moral uprightness. Now, morality is really, it's normative. You don't, right now there's a Supreme Court case where they're talking about gay marriage in Prop 8. So both sides feel like they have integrity and they're on the side of morality. So who knows? The state of being whole, entire, or undiminished, and to preserve integrity in the empire. It's hard to necessarily understand exactly what that means. And a sound, impaired, or a perfect condition. So tonight's definition, what I'd just like you to consider, is that integrity is like gravity. It's not good or bad, it's just there. And without it, things don't work. So if we didn't have gravity right now, we'd probably all be floating around and figuring things out. So two aspects of integrity are keeping your word. So raise your hand if you always keep your word. You do, okay. So that's part of keeping integrity. Now, for me personally, I don't always get to keep my word, but when you aren't able to keep your word, you can still have integrity by honoring your word. So if you make a promise, you're not going to be able to keep it, and you can tell all the people that are involved that you promised to that you won't be able to keep it and promise something new, and you still have integrity. So your word it's all you are. It's everything. And when your word is whole and complete, you're whole and complete. So when I realized where I wasn't having integrity in my life was, around this time. This is my, part of my life. In the past, there's Mexico. I own a festival in Mexico called AWOL. A lot of Vegas, a little bit of Halloween. That's what I was doing. It was a lot of fun. Sold a couple companies, wanted to have some fun. But I really asked myself, why? Why was I doing this? Is really what I wanted to be doing, or was I being pulled in different directions? And I really had to think what was important to me. So as I started, really digging into it, I started just seeing how unhappy I was. I started, when I wake up in the morning and just be really not feeling great, and maybe not feeling so great about the things that I did. I really got to a low point in my life, and I started thinking about what was important to me, and what was important to me was loving and being loved. It was being a stand for others by empowering them to contribute and be fulfilled, making a difference for myself, for others. And I realized that I wasn't living in my truth at all, and I wasn't being my word. I was blowing confetti and having, supporting Party City. I might as well have been sponsored by them. So I started looking at the areas in my life that I was, being irresponsible, and how I was responsible for what was going on with me. And I looked at, where are my actions being run by my inauthentic self? And a lot of that, when you look at the past and you look at inauthenticity, I looked at it as being aware of my awareness. You know, the neuronal patterns in my brain that were firing, and things that came from the past that said, okay, you know, to be cool, you have to party, or to you know, be admired, you have to do this or you have to do that. And that was just running me. It's just a machinery that was running my life. I looked at where fear was running my life. You know, where are the areas that I'm really scared, and so I make up for that with, you know, being charming, or being, you know, overachieving, or whatever that might be, wherever I was really pushing hard in those areas. And what really, really got me was seeing the impact that it was having on myself and having on others. And I'm going to get into that a little bit, but that's really when I started seeing the impact it was having on my life, and the impact it was having on the life of people around me. And mind you, I wasn't, you know, some crazy alcoholic or anything like that. I just started looking in areas where, in my life, where I wasn't making an impact, and where could I have a victory over the past. So the most important thing to me in my life is my family. And when I started digging into the areas that weren't working, you know, I had a loving family, but I wanted to be more closer. I wanted to, you know, I realized that I wasn't necessarily, you know, talking to my parents every day, or showing them the love that I wanted to show them. And I started looking at from the past, and where, you know, where those things were happening, and what I was blaming my parents for, where the inauthenticity was. And when I really got it was, I would go to dinner at my parents' house, and, you know, I had a company, I had, you know, lots of friends and stuff like that, and my mom would always say, you know, when are you gonna marry a Jewish girl? When are you gonna get an MBA? And my dad would say, when are you gonna get off this, like, the energy trip and all this, like, things that you're doing, you know, with, you know, psychology and those types of things. And I would get up and just be like, I'm so tired of this. I don't want to hear it. You know, I don't want to listen to you guys, and I'm not going to do this anymore. And when I started realizing that I had been blaming my parents for so many things in my life, and it was really me, I went to dinner with them, and I told them that, I just wanted to have love for them. And I left dinner, and I was like, that was the best conversation I've ever had with my parents. It was so amazing. It was the best dinner ever. And I get in my car, and I'm like, what do we talk about? I was like, my mom told me, you know, she wanted me to marry a Jewish girl. She was asking me when I was going to get an MBA. And my dad was telling me the same stuff. And really what it came down to was just simply that my way of being, my inauthenticity, was all the things that I was projecting on my parents. That was really fear within myself. And so what I got out of that was being able to be in love with my parents, and being able to hear every word that comes out of my parents' mouth as love, because that's all they really have for me. You know, addictions are a really interesting thing. You know, I looked at just the partying as an addiction. It was something that, you know, I wasn't doing every day, but I could, you know, didn't really want to imagine a world where I wasn't doing it. But, you know, I'm addicted to my phone, I'm addicted to Facebook, I'm addicted to, you know, text messaging my friends. And so just looking in those areas where there's an authenticity. But the inauthenticity with alcohol in this example is just, I need alcohol to be confident and have fun in social situations. And one of the funny stories is that I had this social anxiety because when I was 14 years old, I had to stand up in front of the whole school and you know, talk about the sports teams where I wasn't too passionate about. I was stuttering. People started calling me Nadork and yelling at me. And it's just funny, as a kid, you carry those stories with you. So the impact was that I wasn't present to who I really am. And with me not being present to who I am, I can't empower other people. And the big victory over the past for me is just simply being able to, you know, I just stopped drinking and took time off of it, and it's been about a year and a half. I've had, you know, drinks here and there, but it's really nice to be able to be out and be present with people and really be there for people. And like the annoying drunk thing wore off after about 3 weeks, and I just started being like, cool, yeah, we're having fun. This is great. You guys are awesome. Maybe you shouldn't have any more. You know, those types of things. Relationships was a huge one. You know, what in high school, I fell in love twice with two beautiful girls, Brianna and Danielle, both lovely women, but they broke my heart. So I basically said after that, I'm never going to open up again, and I'm just going to go have fun. I'm going to date as many girls as I can. I'm going to, you know, live the Playboy lifestyle, which, you know, I've seen some of those photos, you could tell I did. And what I realized was just left me completely empty. And I realized that I was using, you know, using women to feed my identity, but it's like anything else. I was using people to feed my identity and basically value myself. And what happened when I took a break from that, I took like a 5-month break from any type of dating, anything like that, and I just started seeing, rather than seeing women as someone to date and you know, to get something from, I just started seeing everyone as people, you know, the same. And that was just a huge transformation for me, to be able to see that. So that was a big victory. You know, leadership's something that's really important to me as well. And I started looking into, you know, the areas where I wasn't being effective as a leader. And one of the biggest things that I think is important is being authentic about your inauthenticities. And so, you know, leaders have a very, well, we're all leaders, obviously, in this room, but when you're leading people, it's tough to always, you know, put on a smiley face and pretend you're not scared, and you know, pretend that you don't, you know, need other people to help you sometimes. And I just realized in that case, when I was operating from a place of fear, then the impact on my employees and the people I'm working with is they're fearful as well. And if I'm not authentic about it, it's like Annika said, you know, yesterday, where, you know, if you're not showing how you actually feel, then people feel like, you know, they're comparing what's behind the scenes to their highlight reel, and that's what was happening. So when I started realizing that, I was able to have a big victory over the past. So in this case, you know, the impact of being inauthentic, like I just said, hiding your fears, it contributes to others' fears increasing, because they're like, wow, this person is doing so great. I'm not okay, but they look okay, so I'm like really not okay, you know? And people aren't left feeling bigger than when you met them. There's a lack of self-expression for you and for others, and a lack of aliveness and connectedness with yourself and others. And you kill possibility and workability in life because you're not able to share yourself. Now, the impact of having integrity and authenticity is you're able to share your true self with others, and you're giving them a space, an invitation to be their true selves. People are felt like they're being listened to, and they feel like they matter, and they feel bigger when you left them. And you have aliveness and connectedness with yourself and others, and, you know, most importantly, you have real love. So that is what integrity means to me. And I just wanted to see if anyone was interested in sharing, you know, areas of their life that, you know, they feel that, you know, they haven't had integrity and the effect it's had on it. Well, thank you very much.
Anyone have any questions for Nadav?
What have you done now to prepare, or not repair, but be more loving with your parents?
Really just listening to them. You know, listening to my mom, and like I used to see what she was saying as nagging. Yeah. You know, like, oh, like, you know, Polish Jewish mother, super neurotic, all those things that I thought that she was, that she really wasn't, you know. So really just listening to her, looking at her as a real person, sharing things that are going on in my life and asking what's going on in her life. And you know, something I realized, you know, I told her a couple weeks ago, I was like, yeah, our family, you know, was totally taken out in the Holocaust. Like, Grandpa and Grandma were the only survivors, and then you guys got kicked out of Poland. So I realized I thought we were losers, you know. I thought our family were losers, but we're really winners because, you know, we survived all these things. And she's like, yeah, sometimes I feel like a loser too because of what happened, you know. And hearing that from her made me, you know, realize what I could be for her. So that was a big, you know, a big turning point a couple weeks ago. But once I kind of identified where I was being authentic, then everything I hear from my mom is just love. It's just like, I love you, you know. So I try to just call her every day and tell her that back. So.
That's awesome.
Can you tell us about Enlightened and what you guys are doing?
Yeah, I could tell you a little bit about that. So the way the company works is you know, essentially we're what LinkedIn is to careers, or what Instagram is to photos. Facebook is to sharing with friends. Like, what is to philanthropy? There's not a place right now where, your philanthropy can live. And one of the big reasons for that, first off, I think, in the past it wasn't so mainstream, but secondly, with Instagram, you can take as many photos as you want and post them. With philanthropy, you have a certain amount of money and time that you can put towards it, and so it's not part of everyday life. So we utilize payment tracking, so in the form of affiliate links, in the form of a browser add-on, and later on we get into credit card tracking. But essentially, you just buy from your favorite brands. We have over 600 brands, tons of different websites, ShopUp, Live Nation, Best Buy. You earn a percentage of what you spend in your Enlightened bank, and then that's your money. You're able to put it towards measurable impact projects. So one of the big problems with philanthropy is you really don't know where the money goes. I mean, where else do you just give someone money and say, okay, do whatever you want with it, and now I'm guilt-free? So essentially, it's all focused on impact projects where you're able to make a measurable impact, see that it goes into your profile, and if you think about, like, on Amazon.com, you don't necessarily go to find the seller. You go to find the product and find the best seller, and that's what we're doing, provide the most impact.
What's your selection process for these impact projects?
Oh, for the philanthropies? So there's a few different ones. We use GuideStar and Charity Navigator. So if they have 3 or 4 stars in Charity Navigator, if they have a GuideStar seal of approval. A lot of referrals. We do, vetting into irs.gov data. So, we just use what's available, and because for us having, getting into our own oversight, that's kind of like a whole nother world. So.
But you do take referrals for projects?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Cindy, how can anyone out here get involved with Enlightened?
Well, I think I have to get off, but yeah, my email is Nadav, N-A-D-A-V, @enlightened.org. So if anybody wants to email me, feel free, and I'd be happy to talk to you. Thank you.